Thanks for logging on and welcome to the Nationwide Preview Show, where we preview all of the news and notes of the Nationwide Series. Now, after a week off in the series, we're heading to Bristol this week. And to help us navigate all of the tight turns in Thunder Valley, our Nationwide insider, Ralph Shaheen. Thanks so much for joining us, Ralph.
Good to be with you again, Nikki. Ready to get back to the racing with the weekend off. That was, we were missing our NASCAR.
I know. Well, let's take a little step back to Las Vegas because we had some really exciting moments in the Nationwide Series. Danica Patrick finishing fourth, the best female finish of any female in the modern era. And then, of course, Mark Martin pulling out a win, his 49th in the series. But, we didn't see who we expected to see. Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch and some of those guys up front.
Yeah, well, hey, that's why they throw the green flag every weekend, right? You never know what's going to happen. Tough weekends for some of those bigger name guys that you would expect to see up near the front. But, they'll rebound. That's why they're big-time seasoned veterans. But it was a great weekend for Danica. I saw her dad and her mom over the weekend up in Indianapolis, and they're still beaming over it. They're very excited about it. They're a little hesitant about what's coming up this weekend at Bristol. Of course, nobody knows what to expect there. And then, of course, for Mark Martin, it was just tremendous to see Mark get back to victory lane in the Nationwide Tour. A series that, if you go back a few years, the man was absolutely dominant in. It seemed like he won every weekend. Those wins there not coming quite as often, so it's great to see Mark get another one.
Now, you just mentioned how we don't know what to expect this weekend in Bristol, and last year we had a pretty unexpected finish. Justin Allgaier got his first and only to date win in the Nationwide Series. Now, he shared some of his memories from last year with us.
Bristol is one of those racetracks, and the very first time I stepped foot there, back probably in 04, 05, to watch the first race I'd ever seen there, it's just one of those places that just surrounds you and you're immersed in it. Being able to win there, especially the first win, words can't describe that. I mean, it was just awesome. Now to be able to go back there a year later, obviously there's a lot of changes, but at the same time I feel like that's the race that I've always excelled at. Hopefully we can go do that again.
Little Gator obviously prides himself big time in being the winner of that race. Now, Ralph, I know that this race has a lot of bragging rights that go along with it. Why this race?
Well, it's a race that pays obviously the same amount of points as any other. It's not the most prestigious victory on the tour like winning at Daytona would be. Bristol is very important for the big ego stroke as well because it's such a tough race, and everybody knows that if you win at Bristol, you really accomplished something, and you probably accomplished annoying a lot of the other drivers in the field because it's such a physical race. Everybody's going to come out of this weekend with a torn-up race car. It's going to be beaten, battered, the paint's going to be off of it, and you're going to have gotten your emotions up, and you're probably going to have another driver in the field who you're not going to like for the rest of the year because something's going to go on out there. There's going to be a lot of beating and banging on each other, and emotions are going to run very high. So if you can come out of Bristol with a win, you've really made a statement.
All right, so we've got egos, we've got close racing, we've got all kinds of emotions going on the track. Any predictions for some rivalries starting at this race?
Oh, there will definitely be that. Where it's going to come from, who knows, because you don't know who's going to get around each other and win. What you do know is, we talk a lot about the big one at the super speedways, but we kind of have a mini big one at Bristol because the track is so small, a half mile, high bank, tight confines, it clogs up quickly, and when it does clog up, everything slides down. So it's very easy to get caught up into it. You might not have the wild viciousness that you see at a place like Daytona or Talladega when they have their big one, but the mini big ones that you get at Bristol can do just as much damage and can raise the emotion level up every bit as high as you can see in those big ones on the super speedways. It's going to happen. Who is going to happen to? We don't know, but it's definitely going to happen.
All right, so let's put it all on the line. Who is it not going to happen to? Who is going to stay out of that mini big one and be there at the checkered line?
I'm going to say Kyle Busch. This is a guy who a year ago went into Bristol and swept the weekend, winning in trucks, nationwide, and cup. And he's bringing the same car with him that he dominated with in Phoenix earlier this year. So I think you're going to see Kyle Busch on the top step of the victory podium again this weekend.
All right, I'm going to pick a guy who's had a bad few weeks in the Nationwide Series, and that's Brad Keselowski. He wrote an article for NASCAR.com talking about how he's ready to rebound at Bristol after some tire trouble in Las Vegas. And if you recall, he had a win there in 2008. So I'm going to go with Brad Keselowski this week. You've got Kyle Busch. I'm excited for this race. Thank you so much, Ralph, for joining us once again with all of your insight.
All right, Nikki, you got it. Should be a great race this weekend.
All right, and thank you all at home for logging on to NASCAR.com for this week's edition of the Nationwide Preview. Be sure to tune back in all weekend for all of the news and highlights in the Nationwide Series.